Hey everybody, Moss here. I just got a link to some leaks from the GHB, so I am going to read them for the first time and give my first thoughts and impressions. But first, a Mossdog AOS video would not be complete without some Valheim music. So, oh yeah, some meadows. Excellent. Okay, so above in this thing, there's all the different battle plans, but I'm not interested in going over all the specific battle plans yet. Instead, I just want to kind of read these over for the first time, just like the rules and whatever else is I'm going to find here, and see and just go through. So let's see. Realm rules. Region of War. Andor. I'm going to call it Andor. The Bitter Land. The following rules reflect what it is like to do battle in the bitter and frozen lands of Andor and Gur. Only the hardiest fighters survive for long amidst this continent's unforgiving environments. Special rules. One with the land. I'm going to skip all the flavor text. One with the land. Wizard heroes with a wound characteristic of 9 or less that are not unique gain the Andorian Locust keyword. Okay. So, wizard heroes, wounds 9 or less. So for Cruel Boys, that's going to be the Swamp Calla Shamans. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. So it's going to be the Swamp Calla Shamans. For, so let's see what else we got. Is that it? Auric Weird Knob Shaman. Wurgog Prophet. And I think that's going to be it. Let's see. Swamp Calla Shaman of Podgrot. Let's see what other wizards we got. So, not that. Maniac Weird Knob is mounted. Hold on. Wounds characters of 9 or less that are not unique. So, Maniac Weird Knob Shaman. Or Maniac Weird Knob counts because he's got under 9 and he's not unique. So, that's cool. So, he's mounted. So, mounted wizards get this. Swamp Calla Wardock in the Bone Splitter's army. Okay, so there's a few. So let's see. Optimal focus. At the start of the battle round, after priority roll is determined, the player taking the second turn can pick one friendly hero on the battlefield. If that hero is an Andorian Locust, they can attempt to cast one extra spell and attempt to unbind one extra spell in that battle round. Okay, if they are not an Andorian Locust, you receive one command point that can only be spent to allow a hero to issue, or to allow that hero to issue a command. Okay. At the start of the first battle round, the player going second, spell. If they are not an Andorian, you can pick one for the hero on the battlefield. Okay, so if you're going second, you can pick a hero, any hero. It doesn't have to be a Locust, it can be any hero. If it is a Locust, it gets +1 cast. So +1 cast or +1 unbind. So you're going second, which means you can unbind, and then on your turn you get +1 cast. And if it is not an Andorian Locust, it gets a command point. Okay, so that's cool. I like that. I like that. I like things that help balance out the idea of going second, because if you get double turned, it means that like you have at least something that is going to help you buffer that. I feel like in Age of Sigmar, the idea of like the double turn is an interesting, cool idea, but I feel like there needs to be a little bit something more to help soften the blow of getting double turned. So that's kind of cool. I like that idea in general. So for, yeah, I mean, casting an extra spell, so far, not super pumped. It doesn't really help us a ton. I wonder what the interaction here is with the Wurgog Prophet, if you can cast no, because I don't think that you can with the Wurgog. I have this feeling that it's like instead of casting spells. Right, so it says instead of attempting to dispel an endless spell or cast any spells. So if you pick a Wurgog, it doesn't get a third cast. It just gets, if you're going to stare, it doesn't do anything. So, but an extra command point's cool. I like that. Okay, let's see. Primal Magic. At the start of the hero phase, both players roll a dice. For each 4-up, each player receives 1 Primal Magic dice. Okay, so 50% chance you get this dice. After a player attempts to cast or unbind a spell, or after a player attempts to dispel an endless spell, they can roll one of their primal magic dice. If they do so, add the result to the casting, unbinding, or dispelling roll. That player can continue to roll additional primal dice until the caster suffers a primal miscast, see below, or there are no more primal dice to be rolled. So at the start of the hero phase, both players for each flush, they receive one primal. Okay, so at the start of the hero phase, you on a 4-up, you get this primal die, and it sounds to me like you can accumulate them over the course of the game. So if you have them and you are successfully casting all your spells, because it says after you cast or unbind a spell, you can roll one of your dice. So if you continuously successfully cast your spells and unbinds, you can just add these primal dice. Or if you're like trying to cast a 7 and you roll a 3 and you're like, this spell, it's not that important, that's cool. It's on a 4-up, so there's like a decent chance that you're not going to end up with like any. And you're so like that, like rules like this bug me because like this is a pretty powerful effect. So what if your opponent gets 3 in a row and you get 0? It's like, okay, well, you just get them and I don't, as opposed to because then you're adding in this other layer of randomness on top of the actual dice rolls themselves, right? So it's like, well, I actually rolled really poorly, and I didn't get my primal magic dice, and my opponent rolled pretty well and got all their. So the RNG is just my opponent's gonna win harder. So I would almost rather it be like each player gets a primal magic dice, and then at least now you're like, okay, like you can plan around it, right? And then it's like, well, if I'm gonna save mine for an unbind because I'm more afraid of what my opponent's gonna do, so I'd rather use it like that, right? So I don't know how I feel about that on a 4-up, but we'll see. Okay, abilities that allow you to re-roll casting, unbinding, or dispelling rolls must be used before primal dice are rolled. Right, so if you have Master Magic in your roll, you can't just be like, oh, you have to roll again. If you choose to use an ability to re-roll a casting, unbinding, or dispelling roll, you cannot use primal magic dice to supplement the roll. If you choose to use an ability to re-roll a casting, okay. So it means that you can't like stack Master Magic with these dice. Okay, let's read this again. Abilities that allow you to re-roll casting, unbinding, or dispelling rolls must be used before primal magic dice are rolled. So it says that they must be used. If you choose to use an ability to re-roll, so does that mean like you can just, right, because you don't have to re-roll with Master Magic. So if you have Master Magic and you roll and you like your roll, it's like if you want to re-roll them with Master Magic, you have to re-roll them first. And if you choose to not re-roll them, then you can use your dice. Okay, so that's good. That's just a good little addition to that rule. When a primal, at the end of each battle round, any primal magic dice that have not been used are lost. So you can't just carry them up and stack them up. So that's good. I like that because as I was saying before, like with a 4-up, if your opponent's just like saving up 3 of them, they could have like this big explosive turn. But it's like you can get a maximum of 1 per battle round, and then so it says at the start of the hero phase, so it means that you can get 2 per round. Okay, so on a 4-up, I'd rather it be a 3-up. If they wanted to have a roll for it, I'd rather it be a 3-up, just to add a little bit more consistency to it. But it's like, I get 1, you don't get 1. Okay, you get 1, it's actually not that bad. Alright, okay. So let's see, let's keep reading. When a primal magic dice is rolled as part of a casting roll or an unmodified casting roll that includes a double 1, the caster suffers a primal miscast instead of a miscast. The spell is not successfully cast. The caster suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds, so 3 additional mortal wounds. And each other unit within 3 of the caster suffers D3 mortal wounds. Wow. In addition, the caster cannot attempt to cast any more spells that phase. So this is going to punish multi-wizards a lot more than single-cast wizards. When a primal magic dice is rolled as part of a casting roll on an unmodified casting roll that includes a double 1, The caster summons... Sorry, I don't know. When a primal magic dice is rolled as part of a casting roll, okay, on an unmodified casting roll that includes a double 1. I'm a little bit confused about this. So does that mean if I roll like 1 and a 6 and I get 7 total, and I want an 8, let's say I'm casting Hoarfrost, so I roll my primal casting dice and I get a 1, now it includes a double 1, and so it's a miscast? That seems a little strange to me. When a primal magic dice is rolled as part of a casting roll, on an unmodified casting roll that includes a double 1. I feel like I want an example. But I have a feeling that's what it is. But that seems strange to me, because then if you roll a 1, you're like, well, I'm not going to... There's a 1 in 6 chance now I'm going to suffer this primal miscast, so I'm not going to use the die. Right? I'm just going to take the fail instead of, like, the critical fail. Because, you know... And especially if you're... You know, it's everything... each other... It says each other unit within 3. So it could also be enemy units. I mean, that's probably not going to come up that often. But that's interesting. But I have a feeling that's what it is. That if you have a 1 in your original cast, then you roll a 1, you're fucked. Sorry, pardon my language. I told myself I would stop swearing in my YouTube videos. I want people to feel like they can play this around their kids. So if you want to play while you're doing the dishes and your kids are present, I feel like that's important to me. Because I would want the same thing. Anyway, sorry. Okay, when a primal magic dice is rolled as part of a casting roll on an unmodified casting roll that includes a double 6, the spell is successfully cast and cannot be unbound. Okay, so I have a better feeling that that's exactly what they're going for. In addition, the caster cannot attempt to cast any more spells in that phase, and both players receive 1 primal casting dice. Okay. In addition, the caster cannot attempt to cast any more spells in that phase, and both players receive 1 primal. I mean, that's kind of cool. It's like, it's successful. Because it would probably be successful anyway. Right? Because if it's like now you're looking at, you know, 12 plus whatever's on the other dice. So this is like with a minimum of 13. And even if your opponent had a primal casting die, it's not very likely that they're going to be able to unbind you, right? Like it's way more likely that this spell's going to get off. So the fact that it cannot be unbound, I feel is just a little bit of like little flavor. That's okay. The caster cannot attempt to cast any more spells in that phase, and both players receive 1 primal magic die. So I guess it's sort of like a Winds of Magic thing. It's like there's a lot of magic in the air, so it's, you know, it's like you nailed it so well that both players are going to get bonus magic. I mean, that's cool. Like like so far so good, I guess. So far so good. Primal magic die, you know, it's sort of like a heroic action kind of, you know, on a 4-up you get a command point, but here it's like in addition on a 4-up you get a primal magic die. You know, that's pretty cool. You got to use it on your, you know. Let's see. When do you get rid of it? I'm just gonna double check when they go away, if it's the round or the turn. Let's see. You cannot use at the end of each battle round. So you could have like, you know, you get 1 on your opponent's turn 1, and then on your turn 1 you get a second one, and so you can use 2 of them. And you could add them both to a single one. Okay, so what if it's the start of your turn and you roll for a primal magic dice and you're successful and you have 2 now, and then you roll a casting roll and you roll a 6 and a 1. Let's say you roll a 6 and a 2 and it's 8 and your spell is successful. It goes up. Let's say it's Summon Boggy Mist and you get it. So you could roll another die and add it, and there's, you know, a 1 in 6 chance you're going to get another 6, and then you can roll another die another time, and there's a 1 in 6 chance it's a 6, as a way of getting another primal die, and having your opponent not be able to unbind. I mean, I feel like there's going to be some interesting interactions here. Obviously, I'm not going to find them in a first impressions video, but they go around at the end of the round, not the end of the turn. So that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts here, first sort of thoughts about this rule. Good. Sure. Sure. Spells get a buff. I don't know how much it's gonna buff the really heavy magic casting armies like Seraphon, because they already have magic supremacy. So, like, they're still gonna have magic supremacy, but at least this gives an avenue where maybe orcs, let's say, can, you know, try to roll these dice to get those important unbinds off. Because I think your opponent has to roll all these dice as part of their cast before you decide if you're going to roll them as part of your unbind. So it might give a little bit more flexibility or a little bit more power to the like mid to low tier magic armies. It might do just that. It might give us a few more, like if you're playing Cruel Boys and you are trying to get off Choking Mist on turn 1 and you got to die and your opponent didn't, suddenly it's like, okay, I'm gonna get it, right? Suddenly it's like, all right, like this is happening. But then again, if the tables are flipped, you're definitely not gonna get it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, we'll see how it plays out. Okay, unique enhancements. Nullstone Adornments. A Nullstone Adornment is a unique enhancement that can only be taken in an army that does not include any wizards or any units with abilities that would allow you to cast a spell in the same manner as a wizard. So, Arcane Tome. You can always take one Nullstone Adornment enhancement in such an army. Each time you take a Nullstone Adornment enhancement, you can pick one Nullstone Adornment from the table below and give it to one hero in your army that does not have an artifact of power. So you can't stack these with artifacts of power. If a rule allows you to take an extra enhancement, you can take a Nullstone Adornment enhancement as an extra enhancement, but if you do so, you cannot pick the same Nullstone Adornment from the table below more than once, and you cannot give a Nullstone Adornment to a hero that already has one or that has an artifact of power. Okay, so you can't stack them with artifacts of power, you can't take two, and it just says to a hero. And it's only for an army that does not include any wizards or any units with abilities. Okay, so, you know, first thought, it's like, for orcs, it's like, well, we're never taking this as Cruel Boys, ever. Because we're always going to play multiple Swamp Kala Shamans. We're never taking this as Big Wa, because we're always going to have a Wurgog Prophet. Always going to have a Wurgog Prophet. You could very well take this in Ironjaws. You're like, okay, like my, I'm definitely not going to give it to the, Weird Knob Shaman. Like, I'm not going to run a Weird Knob Shaman, so I can take one of these instead. So when we're thinking about these, we're going to think about two different things. One as Ironjaws, and two against us as Big Wa and Cruel Boys. Okay, hand-carved Nullstone Icon. The bearer can attempt to unbind one spell, or attempt to dispel one endless spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. Each time the bearer successfully unbinds a spell or dispels an endless spell using this ability, the bearer cannot attempt to unbind one additional spell in that phase. Okay. That's each time the bearer successfully unbinds a spell or dispels an endless spell using this ability, the bearer cannot attempt to unbind. Oh, the bearer can attempt to unbind. Okay, so that's cool. So if you counterspell, you can do it again. That's cool. Throw that on a Mega Boss. Sure. Right? Sure. It can unbind, and the thing I think this is going to be good on is throw it on a priest. Like, not in orcs, but throw it on a priest. So it means that there's, like, against armies that wouldn't have unbinds, they're going to have unbinds if they want them. It looks like there's only 3, so armies that pick one are going to pick one. Right? Okay, once per battle, don't like it so far. At the start of the hero phase, you can say that the bearer... this is Pouch of Null Dust. You can say that the bearer will use their Pouch of Null Dust. If you do so until the end of that phase, being the hero phase, unmodified casting rolls that include a double 1, double 2, or double 3 are treated as miscasts, or if a primal magic die was rolled as part of the casting roll, as primal miscasts. In addition, roll a die for each endless spell on the battlefield. On a 5-up, that endless spell is to spell. Okay, so there's no range for the Endless spell, Dispel, on a 5-up, it's just Dispelled. So if your opponent has 2, right, 1 in 3 chance, 1 in 3 chance for each of them that you're going to Dispel them. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. It's nice to have ways to fight back against these kind of things. Until the end of the phase, unmodified caster rolls that include double 1, double 2, or double 3 are treated as miscast. So at the start of the hero phase, you're like, I'm using my dust, and your opponent goes, uh-oh. So now if they roll double 1s, double 2s, double 3s, it's treated as a miscast. And it's very, very, very scary for them to use their primal magic die, because there's a 50% chance oh no, there's more than that, because we're assuming you haven't already rolled doubles, right? We're assuming you already haven't rolled doubles, because if you roll an extra die, it's still a miscast. So you haven't already rolled doubles, so it means the 2 dice are going to be, well, I guess they could be double 4s, double 5s, double 6s. But if you failed and you want to roll a primal, you're just not going to roll primal dice that turn. That turn. You're just not going to roll them on your turn, because the chances of a primal miscast are so high. Right? Because I mean, so you failed the roll. So the probability that you have at least one of the dice is a 1, a 2, or a 3 is very high. And so if you decide to roll a primal, correct? Because if you roll a 4 and a 6, you're successful, right? If you roll a 5 and a 4, you're successful. So to fail and want to roll a primal die, you're probably already going to have it. So I think fundamentally this could very well say your opponent can't roll those dice this turn. I think that's how this is going to play out. Get rid of endless spells? Sure. It helps when they're not in range. Right? Helps when they're not in range. Polished Nullstone Pebble. When this unit is picked as a target of a spell or the ability of an endless spell, you can roll a die. On a 4-up, the caster must pick another unit within 3 of this unit and within range of that spell or endless spell's ability to be targeted. If, when picking another unit, there are no other units within 3 of this unit and within range, ignore the effects of that spell or the effects of the endless spell. Okay, that's cool. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have a wizard. That's part of this, that you don't have a wizard. So, of the 3 of them, it's like, I can unbind, even though I don't have a wizard, and I can, if I'm successful, I can do it again. Are you getting Nullstone? Are you getting your things? Your primal magic dice? So if you have no wizards in your list, or if you have a priest in your list, I really like the idea that it's a priest, right? Because it's like, it is a utility piece, and it is sort of sitting in the back, and it is still contributing in its own way, and it's going to be able to contribute in its own way even more. So if you don't have a wizard, you still get a primal magic dice. Right? Because I don't see where it says, like, if, right? It just says, like, at the start of the hero phase, both players roll the die. On a 4-up, each player receives 1 primal magic dice. Okay. Yeah. Carries on. Yeah, caster roll, and then they go away. So it means that if you don't have any unbinds, your primal magic dice are doing nothing unless you take hand-carved Nullstone icon. So we have the icon, the dust, and the pebble. So is the icon just the best one? Because at least you get to use this system? I could see the Nullstone, the pouch of Nullstone, of Null Dust. The one where it's like, you know, like not double 1s, double 2s, double 3s against armies where they really need to get certain spells off. Or they're running a lot of endless spells. But I'm not sure, like, it wouldn't be good against a Slann, because you're getting so many bonuses, you're not failing your spells to begin with. Right, so it's like, who cares if you use the primal dice? It also means that you could protect your unbinds. Like, you could protect your spells from unbinds. It's like, okay, start of my turn, I'm using the dust, and you can't roll primal dice. So I am though, like I'm gonna get to use them and you're not gonna get to use them. But no, that doesn't work because you can only pick this if you don't have a wizard. Okay. So my feeling is that the icon is the best. Because you're now getting to use the mechanic. You're getting to use this extra, like a resource. You're getting to use it. You now can actually roll these dice. And then the other two, it's like you don't have a wizard. So you can get rid of endless spells maybe, but a 5-up, right, is like fine, but if your opponent knows you have it, they're not going to throw out a whole bunch of endless spells. Right? Like your opponent has the same information that you have. I'm just going to turn my AC back on. It's smoking hot. Sorry if it just turn the gain down. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, I'm sure it's not fine. Things I do for YouTube views. Yeah, so I think that the icon is the best one, probably. Right, I get to unbind you now. Okay, carrying on. Okay, Realm Sphere Magic. You can pick one spell from the lore of Primal Frost for each Andorian Locust in your army instead of picking one spell from another spell lore that they know. Okay, so again, they're not unique. They're wizards, and they have 9 or fewer wounds. So we could take this on that list I was saying before. Swamp Calla Shaman, Wurgog Prophet. This will be nice for Wurgog, I think. Wurgog Prophet, Maniac Weirknob, Wardock. So let's see. Hoarfrost. I've seen this spell before. Is a spell that has a casting value of 8 and a range of 12. If successfully cast, pick one friendly unit wholly within range and visible to the caster. Pick one melee weapon profile on that unit's war scroll and roll d3. Change the to hit to wound or rend to that melee weapon. Okay, sorry, I know for people that are just listening. Okay, sorry, I need to read it. Pick one melee weapon profile on that unit's war scroll and roll d3. So you have to pick the melee weapon profile before you roll. Change the to hit, to wound, or rend characteristic of that melee weapon to match the result until the start of the next hero phase. For example, if the result was 2, you could change either the to hit characteristic to 2-up, the to wound characteristic to 2-up, or the rend characteristic to 2. So, if you don't have to choose which you're going to replace until you roll it, which is strong, because if you roll a 3, you pick rend, and if you roll a 1, you pick to hit. Even though 1s are always fails, I think. But you get my point, that you get to pick after you roll. Right, an unmodified hit roll or wound roll of 1 always fails. So if you roll so if you roll a 1, it's like, okay, well, you're not going to change the rend to 1, probably. You're going to change the to hit to 1. And if you roll a 2 or a 3, I mean, you can sort of choose, but if you roll 3, you're definitely going for rend. And then 2, I feel, could go either way depending on the profile. Okay, so it has a casting value of 8, which means what it's really telling you is you're gonna have and then roll your primal magic dice. Your primal magic dice, that's what they're called, right? Primal magic dice? Yes. PMD? Your primal dice. So this is very, very, very strong, but you need your primal dice, and your opponent can't have the primal dice, right? For it to be strong, because if you're getting to roll an additional die, your opponent also is going to roll an additional die for unbind if they have it. So there's going to be like a game of chicken with the dice. There's going to be a game of chicken with the dice. In Cruel Boys, this will be taken. I think that suddenly giving 2 rend to, or 3 rend to Gut Rippas is not a joke. I think that suddenly having 2 rend or 3 rend is scary. You could also combo this with a Triumph to get +1 to wounds. you could do this +1 to attack with all out attack. So if you have a block 20 gut rippas, suddenly it's like, I mean, like, we could just do some math. I know you can't see this very well. I'm sorry. So we have 20 gut rippas, so we're looking at 41 attacks. All out attack. Deal their damage as mortal wounds. +1 to wound from our triumph. You know what? Let's just keep that the same. And then rend is -3, and the damage is 1 versus a 4-up save. Like, that's a 1708. Right? 1708. And then without the rend, right? Just with the regular all-out attack, 12. So, I mean, it's a lot of extra damage. Still not, I mean, it's not as impactful as I actually thought it was going to be. But still, like, what else would be good here? Any kind of, like all of our monsters, right? There's not a ton of stuff that we have in that's got a ton of rend, right? The break boss's clubs have -2 rend, so that might be our best. What else do we got? Kill a boss all has 1 rend, so suddenly being 3 rend is good, but it's only for 1 attack, right? So it's like, okay. But you know, with all out attack, the stinger goes from it's a d6 damage though. That's not great. What else is good here for Cruel Boys? Gnash Tooth? Yeah, like you could do Jagged Sticka. Right, it's a 3-up, it's 3-3-1-2 is the damage profile, so suddenly having 1 extra rend is good. Having 3 rend is even better, right? And then what does it get? +1 to hit on the charge. So you could also do like a 2-up to hit and then like a 2-up to wound, like get that +1 to wound if you wanted to. So in our army, in Cruel Boys, like we struggle with casting. So it'll be like a game of chicken with the dice to see if we can actually successfully cast the spell. Hoarfrost might go on like a Summon Boggy Mist caster. But in Cruel Boys we already have really good spell lore, so almost like taking away a ward, right? Nasty Hex might seem better than this. Choking Mist seems better than this. Sneaky Miasma might be better than this in our army, because it's going to go off more consistently. It's melee weapon, so it can't go on Bolt Boys. Right? Like 3 rend on Bolt Boys. Aim Shot would be strong, or changing Hasty Shot to a 2-up instead of a 4-up. But that's not going to happen. Unless I'm overlooking something here. Like, I think this is a strong spell, but I don't think it's going to be that impactful in Cruel Boys. Maybe. Iron Jaws, get the rend wah already. Big Wah. Like, Big Wah gets a built-in +1. So, this might be good for a Big Wah. It might be good to do something like teleport a threat somewhere. Do it, like, buff it up, teleport it, right? Like, suddenly, like a Mega Boss on foot. Like, a Mega Boss on foot is a scary thing to have thrown at you. I know that in the game that I posted, I misused Mighty Destroyers, but a Mega Boss on foot only has 1 rend, so if you can suddenly give it more rend and then activate Destroyer, so it's got like 3 rend and 5 damage, like what? Like, that's just, so 2, 3, 3, 5 would be it. So it's got how many dice? It's got 8 dice, 2, 3, rend is 3, damage is 5 against a 4-up save. 22.22 damage. And with the 1 rend, it goes up from 14.81 to 22. Like, jeez. So what you do is you teleport the Mega Boss, you put him at 12.1 inches, and then you Mighty Destroyer move him 4 inches forward, putting you at 8 inches. You probably have a +1 charge, so you're looking at a rerollable 7-inch charge, which is not, like, now you're sort of getting into, like, that's good, right? Like, that's good. you have to use a command point to do it. You might be able to set it up in such a way where there's pigs, so the pigs also get to move in, right? Like you can sort of time it out that way. So that's kind of cool. You can do that in Iron Jaws 2 and Big Wa for the same reasons, right? So suddenly, right? Suddenly a bunch of rend. I think it's, I mean, definitely worth playtesting. Okay, next spell, Rupture. Rupture is a spell that has a casting value of 10! God damn, and a range of 18. So again, it's like they're telling you like you're going to use these dice. If successfully cast, pick one predatory endless spell or one incarnate wholly within range within 18 and visible to the caster. Get out of here, dog. So I'm sorry, I love you, dog. The target immediately becomes wild and cannot be picked to be controlled or bound for the rest of the battle. Okay, so magic dominant armies are going to get rid of incarnates. If incarnates are in the meta, they will no longer be in the meta. They will just not be in the meta. My dog's trying to eat my donut. Get out of here, dog. Go lay down. Go on. Go lay down. They just will no longer be in the meta because Seraphon is like, well, I have +3 to cast, and I have these extra dice. So I need a 7 on the dice for your incarnate to be predatory. It has a range of 18, but like with the teleporting of a Trog and then casting it through the Trog, it's like you can't bring incarnates. You just can't bring them. Same thing with predatory endless spells, right? Like, but I see the incarnate because I heard that they're releasing a new incarnate. Maybe it's below, but with the incarnate of Gur, like it's strong. People don't play it because everyone doesn't want to play it because it's boring. But this is definitely going to get rid of that for Magic Dom armies. If there's incarnates in the meta, they're just not going to be in the meta anymore. Like there just won't be incarnates in the meta because you can't put 450 points or whatever it is on the table, and your opponent turn 1 is like, well, it's wild. Like it's wild, and there's a high chance that I'm going to get it off. And even if we both have those dice, right? Like I have a bunch of pluses to cast and re-roll this and everything else. So, all right. Oh, sorry. 1 sec. Come on, baby. How'd you go? So, interesting. Good. Incarnate suck. Merciless Blizzard. Merciless Blizzard is a spell that has a casting value of 12 and a range of 12. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. That unit suffers 4d6 mortal wounds. God, 4d6. But for each one, the caster also suffers d3 mortal wounds that cannot be negated. The range of the spell cannot be modified and must be measured from the caster, even if an ability would allow it to measure from elsewhere. So, Seraphon, suck it. That's what it's saying. It should just say, suck it, Seraphon. Right, because I was like, well, that's insane, because all that I'm going to do is put it on a skink oracle or whatever. Right, and it's like, okay, I suffer D3, but I heal. It's like, God, at least they saw that combo and were like, well, no, you can't do that. 4d6 mortals is so swingy. We're looking at a range of between 4 and 24 damage. So you could target a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher and roll your dice and it's lifted, or 4 damage. I do not like this spell. You're probably going to have to use your primal dice for this. And there's a high... Yeah, I mean, I don't like this spell. I don't think this spell is good for the game. I'm going second. Okay. So, I am playing Big Wa. I teleport a Warduck within 12 of you, because I'm going second. And then I double turn you. So I get my little die, I have +1 to cast. So I need 11 on the dice with 3 dice. The average roll for 3 dice is 10. So I need 11. So if I'm lucky, I can just lift your big maw. I win the game. If I'm lucky, I win the game. And if I'm not lucky, I picked a bad spell. I picked a spell that didn't do much. So I think that armies are going to try and make this work for as little investment as possible. Again, let me just quickly pull up. Let's see. Well, I mean, Swamp Call a Shaman. Let's look at a Swamp Call a Shaman. Well, no, because we have no teleports. Because Cruel Boys are terrible. Right? Because there's no way of having any kind of trick. So a Wardock is a Bone Splitter's wizard for 80 points. Yep. At the start of your hero phase, instead of attempting to dispel an endless spell or cast any spells, so you don't do that. You just do the... So what you take a 80-point Wardock, you take Merciless Blizzard on him. You... you teleport him within 12 if you're going second, and then you pray for a double turn. And then after that, you pray that you get this spell off. I mean, you're at this point, you're kind of like hoping for a lot of things to go right for you. I don't like this spell. I hope no one takes it. I hope it's bad. I don't like really swingy, powerful effects. I don't like them. Because if you take it and it happens, you'll feel it'll feel unfair. If you take this and you plan around it and it goes off and you get your combo, it'll feel really unfair. And if it doesn't, you'll feel like you're stupid and you picked a bad combo. And both are correct. It is unfair when it goes off, and it's bad to pick. But ooh, thunder. But what are you gonna do if you're playing against Seraphon? What are you going to do if you're playing against a magic dominant army? And for them, with these extra dice, you don't have to do something crazy. You're like, I play Croak. Croak marches up the map. If you ever get within 12, I'm going to Merciless Blizzard you because I can do that. Also, how does it work if a wizard knows the whole spell lore? Like, what if it's Scragrot? What if you know or Gobsprak? Do you just get to pick a spell off of this? I mean, that's a really good question. I wonder if Leonard's around. Leonard would know the answer to this. Question. I'm going to ask Leonard a real quick question. If you know the whole spell lore, can you pick... Leonard would know. Or at least, can you pick a spell from lore of Primal Frost? Or is knowing the whole lore your spell choice? Okay, we'll leave that alone. Yeah, first thoughts. Hoarfrost, fine. Some armies are going to take big advantage of it. Others are not. Rupture is just like, hey, guess what? Incarnates aren't in the meta this season. And Merciless Blizzard is like, hey, you like funky, janky combos, right? That need a lot of work for them to not happen? Well, pick this. Or it'll be like a Magic Dom, like, just killer of a spell. 4d6 mortal wounds. That cannot be negated, so you can't even ward them off. I don't know how I feel about Merciless Blizzard. Right now I feel concerned. Okay, command traits. If your general is an Endorian Locust, you can pick one command trait from the following list and give it to your general. So where are we going to have that? We're going to have that on Ironjaws. We're going to have that in Big Wa. We're not going to have it in Cruel Boys because Cruel Boys are terrible. And you can't have a Swamp Call a Shaman because they can't call the Wa. So it's like, Even if one of these is amazing, you're still losing something in the army that's strong for this. So let's check it out. Shaman of the Chilled Land. This general knows all the spells from the lore of Primal Frost. Hot damn. Like, I don't even... What does that even mean? That's kind of a scary one, because now it's like you don't have to take the Blizzard, you can just take all of them. There's going to be an army, I think, that wants this. I don't think it's us. I think Master of Magic is better than this for Big Wa, because that teleport spell is so key. But even and you don't want to be spending your primal dice, and you want to be casting the teleport. Do you take a second foot wizard? I don't know. I think you would take this if you have a general that has a bunch of like bonuses to cast already. Cogs, maybe. Maybe you just take cogs instead. Maybe there's like a Big Wa list that's like multiple wizards and cogs, right? And then it's like you can... Maybe cogs is going to be really broken this season, right? Because it's like I roll, it's bad. I re-roll, it's better. Still not successful. I roll... Oh, Jesus. And I roll a primal die. I don't know about this one. Eye of the Blizzard. At the start of your hero phase, if this general's on the battlefield, roll a die. On a 5-up, you gain 1 primal magic dice. This doesn't seem good. I don't know. On a 5-up, right? It's like there's a 1 in 3 chance, but there's also a 2 out of 3 chance that you get no benefit from having your command trait, and command traits are usually pretty good. Right? So like no chance, or a 2 in 3 chance that nothing happens, seems bad. Chilled to the Bone. Once per battle. Don't like it already. If this general suffers a miscast or primal miscast, you can roll a die. On a 3-up, this general can ignore the effects of the miscast or primal miscast. So what is this? This is bad? Straight up bad? Because it's once per battle. You have to suffer a miscast. And if it's just a regular miscast, it's like... whatever. If it's a primal miscast, it means you walked into it, right? Because the primal miscasts are like, you can kind of see them coming a little bit, right? Let me just double check. I'm just going to refresh myself real quickly. A double 1, right. So the primal miscast is only if there's a double 1, so you have to have a 1 in your initial roll, so you know walking into it that it's bad, or that it's risky. So... on a 3-up, so it's like you pick this, and then you don't have any miscasts, so your command trait did nothing, or you do have a miscast, and you roll a 1 or a 2. So there's a 1 in 3 chance it still does nothing. Seems bad. Eater of Magic. Eater, I guess. Each time this general successfully unbinds a spell, roll a die. On a 5-up, the caster no longer knows that spell. Oh! Each time this general successfully unbinds a spell, roll a die. On a 5-up, the caster no longer knows that spell and may not cast it again for the rest of the battle. Oh my. Oh my. So, like, cogs, right? Because you get a reroll, so you're like, you have your cogs out, and then you unbind, and it's like, hey, guess what? You actually don't know that spell, and most casters only know 1? Like, this seems mean. Each time. This seems strong. It's like, hey, guess what? You don't get to cast Comet's Call it anymore. It's gone. Like, this one seems interesting to me. Definitely seems interesting. Especially for magic armies like ours that don't have great magic. This seems good in Big Wa. Right? It's like, okay, I'm not gonna rely. I'm gonna instead of Master Magic, I'm gonna use Cogs, and I'm gonna use this. So I'm just gonna deny your magic. Right? Like, and it puts the opponent in weird positions because if they successfully cast, but let's say they roll like an 8 or something, or like a 7, and they have a primal die, it's incentivizing them to use their primal die. Right? But then you still have a primal die, like, for the rest of the battle. Like, you could just turn people off. But, then again, it could also happen to you, where you're going to cast your teleport spell, and they're like, no, you can't. Your teleport spell is gone for the rest of the game. So, deploy your wizard way back. Like, it's... Oh, that's interesting. Interesting! I like that. Okay, so, core battalions... you can include any of the following core battalions in your army, in addition to those in the core rulebook and other publications. In addition, you cannot include the same core battalion from those shown below more than once in your army, so you can only have once. Andorian Acolytes. Coordinated augmentation. At the start of the hero phase, if there are 2 or more friendly Andorian Locusts on the battlefield in this battalion, so you can have, for those of you that are just listening, so it can either be... It's a hero with a wounds characteristic of less than 10, does not have a mount, and is not unique. So it's a Galatian champion. Hero with a wounds characteristic of less than 10, does not have a mount, and is not unique. So it's a Galatian champion. You need a minimum of 2, maximum of 3. At the start of the hero phase, if there are two or more friendly Andorian Locust units in this battalion on the battlefield, roll a die. On a 3-up, you gain 1 primal die. Okay. So it's not Galatian champions, it's 2 or 3 Andorian Locusts, and on a 3-up you gain another primal die. So, cool! Right? Generate more. You throw 3 Swamp Kala Shamans or 2 Swamp Kala Shamans in this unit, in this battalion. Big Wa can do the same. Right? Because we're keeping these wizards way back, so you can just generate more of these dice. Cool. I like it. Wizard Finders of Andor. Magic Hunters. Each time a unit in this battalion is picked to fight, you can say that it will go on a wizard hunt. If you do so, pick 1 melee weapon profile on that wizard's war scroll. Until the end of that phase, add 1 to the attack characteristic of that melee weapon, but all of the attacks that unit makes in that phase must target an enemy wizard. Okay. Wizards cannot be included in this battalion. So then in the battalion you need 1 Galatian champion and then 1 infantry, and you can also include another infantry and a behemoth that is not a leader. So you can include a monster. So there's no room in here for monster heroes. So it's like 1 Galatian champion, because it can't be a wizard. Or you can include... Yeah, no one can be a wizard. So it means that it's a Galatian champion, an infantry, and then maybe another infantry and a behemoth. So, magic hunters. So what in Cruel Boys do we include here? It's a behemoth that is not a leader. So none. Incarnates, but none. Galatian champions that are not wizards. Kill a boss on foot. Yeah, I mean, weird. Merc Knob doesn't count. Is that it? Kill a boss on foot can be a magic hunter. So if we can get it next to a wizard, it can fight. Gets +1 AC against the wizard. Doesn't seem like that's ever going to happen for Cruel Boys. Right, that's not going to happen for Cruel Boys. Infantry is whatever. Gut Rippers, right? But our Gut Rip is going to get in to fight wizards. It's like your opponent's just not going to let that happen. They're going to know who your wizard finders are, and they're just going to keep wizards away from wizard finders. And there's no behemoth. Big Wa, same thing. No behemoth. Mega Boss on foot can do that. Can get in there. But to me, it's not going to work in Iron Jaws, I think. Because you'll just play pigs instead, right? You'll just play more pigs. You could have a magic hunter. Pigs are not infantry, right? But it's like, who cares? I don't think you care. So, doesn't look like we're going to have wizard hunters, really. Doesn't look like we're going to have wizard hunters. Hero with the wounds characteristics. War Chanter. Right? But doesn't seem good. Okay, well, I mean, we can always go with the Andorian Acolytes. Right? On a 4-up, we get a thing, and on a 3-up, we get a die. That might actually be good for Cruel Boys and Big Wa. So, but the Wizard Finder doesn't look like it. I think what you want here is, it's like an army that has a hard time, that has some, like, maybe something like Beasts of Chaos. I'm not sure if they have any wizards. Sorry, you don't need wizards. It's just Galatian Champions and infantry. So it's like, watch out, because Beasts of Chaos is coming for your wizards. Right? How about Gits? I mean, yeah, I mean, with Gits, it's like, no, because Grots are, they're all mounted. I don't know. Looks like the Acolytes is going to be our thing. Grand strategies. So let's see. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grand strategies. So for those of us that have bad books, didn't swear. For those of us that have bad book grand strategies, let's see if any of these we can pick. Control the Nexus. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if 2 or more friendly wizard units are wholly within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield. That's pretty good for Cruel Boys, because if we're winning, it's because Bull Boys are in the middle of the map, and if they're in the middle of the map, Swamp Call Shamans are also in the middle of the map. So that's not bad. Spellcasting Savant. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if the model picked to be your general is an Andorian Locus, and that unit has not been slain. So, Big Wa, keep your Weird Knob Shaman alive till the end of the game. Easy to accomplish for Big Wa. Not going to happen in the other armies. You could do it in Iron Jaws. You could do the same thing, where you have a Weird Knob Shaman who is your general. Keep your general alive till the end of the game. Slaughter of Sorcery. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are no wizard units on the battlefield. So that includes your own. So this is if you were going to play like a wizard hunting style and you were going to kill wizards. This would be good. I don't think this is going to be a good one to take, because if you're playing against Seraphon and there's a whole bunch of wizards, you have to. It's like you get your grand strategy if you wipe them off the table, and then who cares if you get your grand strategy if you've tabled them, right? If you've killed all their wizards, they have nothing left. So then who cares if you got your grand strategy, because you probably won anyway. Baron Icescape. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if all enemy units that have artifacts of power are destroyed, and there are no enemy units within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield. Same thing. I don't like grand strategies that say if you're winning, win more. I like grand strategies that say, like, if the game is close, this will put you over the top. So I don't think that's a good one. All enemy units that have artifacts of power are just, so you've killed all the artifacts of power, so 1 or 2. And there's no enemy units within 6 inches of the center of the battlefield. Like, I don't know. Unless there's like a list in the meta that's crushing and hasn't, you know what I mean? But I don't think this one's very good. Overshadow. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if all enemy battle line units from your opponent's starting army are destroyed, and there is at least 1 friendly battle line unit from your starting army on the battlefield. No. Don't think it's good. Isn't this like one of the core ones? You complete this grand strategy if all enemy battle line units or your opponent's starting army are destroyed, and there's at least 1 friendly battle line unit. And also, this is really easy for your opponent to deny you this grand strategy. And you don't want to have a grand strategy that your opponent can be like, oh, that's your grand strategy? Oh, okay. And then later in the game, they're like, well, I retreat this unit of my battle line unit, and they're faster than you, and so they're just going to run away from you. This doesn't seem good. Magic Made Manifest. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if there are 2 or more endless spells or incarnates on the battlefield that are controlled by or bonded to friendly units. So this one's easy, I think. Right? If you have 2 or more endless spells in your list, all that you have to really do is cast them by the end. Right at the end of the game, make sure that you've cast them and they're on the table. So it's like, yeah, I run my wizard off at unbind range and I have +3 to cast. So I cast 2 endless spells. Right? Well, I guess you can't. I guess that you can only have 1 bound to you. But still, this one's not bad. So, I don't know. For orcs, spellcasting savant might be good for Big Wah. And I still, I mean, probably just stick with Wah, to be honest. Probably just stick with that. Probably. Right? Your general... So in Cruel Boys, it's like you just run your Vulture across the table. It's wholly within enemy territory. It's probably there anyway. Right? So I have a feeling that we'll probably just stick with Wah after looking at all these. Which is fine. Okay. So let's see. Oh, endless spell updates. Okay. There's a bunch of stuff here. So there's a whole section on endless spell updates. So are they all just different? Do they all just get changed completely? Why is it the same thing twice? Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Did they just all get redone? Right, and there's the leak. And that's it. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to go over the battle tactics, and I will save the, I'll put the endless spell ones in a different video, because it's already an hour. So, and I'll probably read them all over first, and maybe just talk about some of the interesting things in them, instead of doing a first impression for every single one. But we'll see. Okay, battle tactics. Okay, yes, you just picked whatever. Yes. Okay. Intimidate the invader. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if there are more friendly units wholly outside your territory than there are friendly units within your territory. Okay, so this is an Alpha Strike one. There are more friendly units wholly outside your territory than there are friendly units within your territory. Yeah, Alpha Strike. Right. This is good. I like this. It's good for Alpha Strike armies. It's also good for all armies. You just keep that in mind. Right? It's like maybe you lose a bunch of your army. Maybe you get struck in the back lines. Maybe this, maybe that. So if you're ever like, yeah, you know what, at the end of this turn, I will have more in the opponent's turn. It's one of those, like, on your list where you check it first. Right? Like, when I do battle tactics, I like to have, like, you know, I like to have a plan. So it's like turn 1, turn 2, and so on, where I want to see if I can get, like, I have a priority list. If I can get one that's higher on the list, I get that one. Then if it's lower than the one that's lower on the list. So this would be one that's just at the top of the list of every round. It's like, am I going to be able to do this? Okay, let's do it. So that's good. Number 2, reprisal. You complete this battle tactic if an enemy unit that destroyed a friendly general earlier in the battle is destroyed this turn. Same thing. It's like, if your general dies, you're like, okay, this unit did it. Am I going to kill them this turn for sure? Yes, I am. Great, pick it. Endless expropriation. Pick one enemy unit that is controlling or bonded to an endless spell or incarnate. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if any of the following are true. The enemy unit is destroyed. Cool. That endless spell is wild. Cool. The endless spell is controlled by or bonded to a friendly unit, or the incarnate is wild. Okay, so, are you gonna, again, same thing. So far, so good. I like these so far. It's like, oh, I see that you're controlling an endless spell. Snipe, right? It's like, I'm gonna kill this guy this turn, so easy battle tactic. And the rest of them are just gravy. That could happen in other instances as well. But killing the enemy unit is what you want to do. Number 4, magical dominance. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if a friendly wizard unit successfully cast one or more spells, and none of the spells cast by any units in your army were unbound. So, same kind of idea, right? It's like, if you have spells and your opponent doesn't, you know, they're probably going to have the unbind, thing, the unique enhancement anyway. But, yeah, this is just going to be one of those, like, I'm just going to check to see if I can get this, and if I can, I'm going to get it. I like that. Good. Don't think that orcs will take it very often. But it's there. Could also happen later in the game. It's like you've killed off your opponent's wizards. They have no unbinds. You have one spell left. Right? It's like I get the spell, I get my battle tactic, or I have 3 spells, and if I get 1, I get the battle tactic. That's good. Number 5, Magical Mayhem. Pick 1 enemy unit on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic if that unit is destroyed by damage inflicted by a spell or the abilities of an endless spell. 1 HP left, Arcane Bolt, lol. So this sounds to me like a Magic Dom choice. Right, you're going to kill an enemy unit anywhere on the battlefield if you killed it with a spell or an endless spell. I mean, that's cool. Same kind of idea, though, right? It's like you have Jaws on the table. You know you're going to get to use it, which I'm not even sure if you will know when you're picking a battle tactic. So, probably not for orcs. Bait and Trap. You complete this battle tactic if 2 or more friendly units retreated this turn, and 2 or more different friendly units made a charge move this turn. Probably never going to come up. Probably never going to happen, but still, I like it. Lead into the Maelstrom. You complete this battle tactic if 1 or more friendly heroes and 1 or more friendly battle line units each made a charge move this turn, and at least one of those units is within 3 of an enemy unit at the end of the turn. Okay, so it's to be a hero and 1 battle line unit. Both have to charge, and whatever you charge can't die. Or at least one of them has to still be in combat at the end of the turn. Yeah, now we're sort of getting into that like really unlikely scenario where it's probably not going to happen. So, you know, if it does, that's great. If not, probably, you know, Surround and Destroy. Pick 3 different friendly units on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if each of those units is wholly within 6 of a different battlefield edge, and 2 or more of those units are wholly outside your territory. Okay. Same kind of deal. I doubt this comes up with orcs. It's not really the playstyle that any of the armies have. So, okay, so that'll be it. So, thanks for checking out this video. Battle tactics look pretty good. I like them. I like that it's not like, oh, you need 2 Galatian champions. I like that very few of them have to do with, like, this one says wizard and that's it. Right, so I feel like they're pretty good, better than last season is my first impression. Same thing with Grand Strategies. I think they're better than last season, so that's really good. I like that one of the core battalions is playing into getting more dice. That's cool. I also like that one of them is a wizard hunter battalion. That's also cool. Even though I think it's unnecessary. I think it's kind of unnecessary. You don't really need +1 AC. A lot of the wizards are going to melt anyway, because if they want to be the champion, they have to be small, right? Yeah, they have to have 9 or less wounds, not unique. So it's like they're kind of probably going to die anyway. Like, you don't really need the +1 AC, but it's nice. I like Primal Dice. I think it's going to be fun to play test it. The adornments look fine. I don't like Merciless Blizzard. I don't really like the Primal Frost lore, but we'll see. I don't really like the Primal Frost lore. I'm concerned about this for orcs. But we'll see. Alright, well, until next time, make sure that you like, subscribe, and watch.